I enter the state of flow. It is a state of consciousness when I synchronize my thoughts with my speech. It is an ultimate expression of focus and creativity. I do it to rewire my brain and to develop the ability to speak to people, ignite them, and inspire. Today is the second day and is only a start of a long, long road. I will introduce myself in this video and will shed more light on the reasons of why I took a decision to take such an arduous and in many situations heavy experience. My early days started in Ukraine, in a small provincial city. From the very beginning of my life, I was drawn to social connections with other people. I was inspired by great humans who was able to ignite hearts of other people. Martin Luther King, Richard Braveheart, even Adolf Hitler, which is not a good example of human behavior, but is a good example of the force that is capable to ignite hearts. What I was deprived all my life is the cariness and mostly attention, because my parents have to work hard to sustain our life at very minimal level. So most of the time I was spent alone on the streets that were pretty harsh in the small provincial town, with many fights, many conflicts, and basically no understandable way on how to grow up in a meaningful personality. So the only way for myself to make a step forward and rise by social ladder was to become a doctor. And my first life-changing decision was to become a plastic surgeon. I saw it as a way to finish medical university in my country, Ukraine, then move to Germany and to become a surgeon there. And the last and ultimate step should be to become a plastic surgeon in US. I had pretty grounded reasoning behind this. My main objective was to earn money and to provide for my family, and being a plastic surgeon in US was the pinnacle of a career for my understanding. So after 6 years of education and university, I was able to start practicing in Germany, which was already unhearable development for someone from my environment. So when I got to the medical university to internship in Germany, in the city that is called Stade, I started to practice, to perform operations, and I saw how people work abroad. It was a huge eye-opener for me, since the contrast between living in small provincial Ukrainian city and a huge hospital in Europe with abundance of resources was overwhelming. First thing that scattered my understanding of reality were how people behave and interact with each other. In Ukraine, it was a huge subordination and big division between doctors and lower medical personnel, like nurses. What I saw in Europe was a higher level of equality and humanity, even from the high-grade medical professionals. When I entered hospital, my very first day in Germany, I came to the surgical department, and my goal was to find the professor who was the chief of the department. The very first guy that I met there was sitting in front of some computer in the corridor. I simply touched his shoulder and asked if he can show me the way to the chief of the hospital. And he said, yeah, okay, I can lead you and show you the way to his office. When I asked what is his name, he said, Mike. I'm just Mike. He then took me and lead to show me the tour over the hospital. What was interesting that all people that we saw on our way cheerfully greet this guy. Everyone was joking to him, saying Mike this, Mike that. I was surprised how that Mike is so famous in this place, but anyone was very easy with him. And a strange detail also, he was wearing sneakers, which is kind of strange, because in our country you're not wearing sneakers if you are a doctor. It was too light-minded, if I would say. Nowadays it's not the case, probably. So he was wearing sneakers, talking to the personnel, was funny, easygoing, and giving me a tour to the hospital. I think it's already obvious that the chief of the hospital was this guy, just Mike, which was a real professor, much older than I am, and still he was able to keep this closeness to the people around. And that was one of the most powerful experiences that I have as a medical student that leaves my country and at first time saw how people behave and live abroad. I saw the freedom, connection, and light-heartedness. After this was many months of day-to-day job and working in the hospital. And I realized eventually that this way to work as a doctor probably is not my way, because in the hospital everyone worked as a small parts of a big machine, not as an individuals. And I understood that I would better become a captain of my small ship rather than a small cog in a huge and soulless machine. There was the subtle realization, but not the moment when I decided to leave the surgery. The moment when my life was divided from before to another, which was manifested itself in a chain of events when I became a programmer, entrepreneur, the owner of fitness studios, sport championship organizer, launched my crypto startup, opened my marketing agency. All this chain of events was catalyzed by one exact event. One day in the last years of my education, after 6 years of studying in university and 3 years of internship, my mentor, who was a chief of surgery in Ukraine, called me and said, "Nick, it's your time to visit the proctological department." And proctological department and visiting it was a part of the graduating as a surgeon. A common practice for all surgeons is to work and train for several months in different departments. Thoracic departments, abdominal, cardio, others, but this time it was proctological department. So he said to me that it's my time to go there. I agreed and walked away. When I entered the department, I came into the doctor's office and I said, "Hello guys, I'm Nicholas, your new intern. Came here into proctology, so I'm ready to start practice and to see what you have." And they were like, "Okay, Nick, we're happy to see you. You came just in time." Then one of the guys stood up, took my hand and said, "Let's go. There is a patient waiting us in the observation room." I followed him. After a second, we entered an observation room where was a guy. A doctor was pretty calm and has told to this patient, okay, stand on the table, put off your pants, stand on your knees and bend. The guy was not really happy to do these questions. However, he obeyed. He got on the couch, he took out his pants, he stand on his knees, and he started to waiting for us. In a second, doctor came, put the gloves, and put his fingers into the hole of this guy. It was a normal physical medical examination. So he did it, and when he finished, he pulled his fingers out of the guy, looked at my eyes, and said, "Now is your turn." And what I did after that was one life-changing moment that flipped my life drastically from being a doctor, living a common, understandable life from 9 to 5, following the rules, and basically growing as a common part of the society, to absolutely not predictable, not stable, chaotic, but I can say full of fun and experimentation life. Which life? Which I will finish in the next video.